Hi, I'm Alex.
And I'm Amy.
Our project is called Mind, Body, and Soul, the Nature of Well-Being, and this podcast is just one small piece of the overall project. We are making a documentary that follows our hike on the Continental Divide Trail that will explore how spending time in nature affects a person's mental, physical, and spiritual well-being.
We are guinea pigs in a sense because we will be documenting our own experiences and recording changes that we find. Along the way, we are interviewing people about their experiences in nature to see how they have been affected.
Much of the benefits that come from being in nature are subjective, and therefore hard to measure in a quantifiable way. That's why we have turned to recording stories as a way to distribute this knowledge. Since the beginning of human culture, we have compressed valuable information into stories, and that's how we have shared wisdom throughout the generations.
We hope that the stories we gathered during this project will help spread some of the wisdom that can be found in the wilderness.
Episode 17, an interview with John Locke, a synchronistic trail angel who stumbled upon Alex and Amy. We met John while hitchhiking into town. Not only did he stop to give us a ride, but he and his friends also welcomed us to their campsite, which had an incredible hot springs, and even invited us to a concert they were heading to. Over the course of the day we spent together, we discovered we shared many common beliefs and values. It turned out to be one of those rare serendipitous connections that make you feel like you were exactly where you were meant to be.
Hey guys, my name is John Locke.
So our first question is just how did you meet Alex and Amy?
I was coming back from Paonia with my friend James of Manny Pura Juice Company, and we pulled over on the side of the road and picked up two beautiful hitchhikers.
Can you explain kind of the events that happened after that?
Let's see here. We kind of pseudo-kidnapped Alex and Amy. We went down into Buena Vista, Salida area. We went and saw a show. We went soaking in the Cottonwood Hot Springs, a local hot springs in the area. And then we went to Salida and got supplies from the post office and went to Hayduke Hideout, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And here we're back up at the trailhead, sending them back on their way.
So when we were first driving into Salida, you were talking about how you access your heart through breathing techniques. Could you dabble in a little bit about that? Explain what it is, how it feels.
Okay, so a lot of us, our mind is like a supercomputer. It never shuts off. It's always analyzing, always focusing on stuff. A lot of times needless information, trauma from the past. It's almost impossible to live through your heart if you're thinking through your mind. I've had a lot of brain injuries and a lot of traumatic issues. And through the practice of meditating or surrendering, I've found that you can learn to access the heart only after slowing the mind down and learning how to calm the mind enough to where you can receive information from the heart and live through the heart instead of the mind or the intellect or the ego.
Okay. And how's that process go?
There's several basic processes. Oxygen and air is natural, it's free. You can call it religious, you can call it scientific. It's the process of just basically analyzing the breath, allowing the breath to naturally ebb and flow, but also through light and focused concentration of thought into the breath and allowing the breath to come and go out of the body in a different way than that we're used to breathing. In ancient traditions, there's a mantra, hum sa technique, or hum sa. It comes under many names. I just breathe. So I just naturally allow the breath to, you focus at the tip of the nose. I know that sounds funny. Or at the back of the mind, depending on what you're looking to accomplish. Engage your diaphragm, engage your core. When you breathe in, focus the air towards the back of your body, the kidneys, and your pelvic floor. This will activate the vagus nerve. As you breathe in, cool air will naturally flow across the brain, the optic nerve, the pineal gland, down the back of the body, into the kidneys, into the pelvic floor. As you exhale, naturally let the breath rise. The inhale is cool by nature, the exhale is hot by nature. And if you just allow yourself to focus on the breath and the coolness and the hotness of the breath in the body, it will miraculously calm the mind and allow a different point of view.
Thank you. So the day before I met you, I had said a little prayer and asked help to be able to access my heart. And then the day you picked us up, you talked about that. What's your intake on that? How do you feel about that?
I just got chills through on my whole body. We as a species were created from the divine. If you ask honestly, wholeheartedly, you will be supported in your ask, in your questions, in your search for peace. I believe that's a divine miracle. We all have the capacity to create miracles and to be part of this miraculous life.
You're making me cry. Um, if you could just explain what nature means to you in your own way, in your own words.
Nature is our natural state of being. It is our natural birthright. We all have the capacity to be with our birthright and to be with nature. That is the sole purpose of this life on this planet.
And do you believe nature can help you heal through traumas?
I believe the mind holds the trauma and separates us from our natural capacity. Yes, in learning to be more in touch with our natural state, we can heal our past and our future as a species.
Do you think there is a place in nature for everyone?
I believe nature is our natural birthright. It is already established in our bounty when we are born. The table is set for each and every being on the planet. We just have to humble our minds and our hearts enough to accept our place in nature and be one with nature, one with each other.
So before you agreed to do this interview, you said you wanted to set your intentions. Would you be willing to talk about those intentions?
Through trauma, through struggle, through love, through strife, the intention is peace. To choose the path of peace as a species. What does that look like? What is required? If the intention is to share peace, then the intention would be to share peace in the interview. or at least what I understand peace to be.
Have you always been in this sort of lifestyle your whole life, or is it something that you've grown into?
I was born into a pretty peaceful, yet violently aggressive childhood. I've always struggled with our natural nature and our shadow nature. The road's not easy. It's a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of surrender, and a lot of giving. A lot of change.
Could you elaborate a little bit on the natural nature versus shadow nature? Like, what do you mean by that?
Our natural capacity is to be light, love, abundance. Our shadow nature is our primal, animal, prehistoric nature. That aspect of the mind that keeps us in darkness, that keeps us unknowing, that keeps us separate from our full nature. Not just natural, not just a shadow, but the integration of both. No longer separate, no longer a mind separate from a body, no longer a body separate from a soul. One conscious unit.
Okay, could you tell your story about going into the woods, and then the woods telling you to come back to society, and maybe start by what motivated you to kind of leave society and go into the woods in the first place?
Was just out of high school, early 20s, had just left community college. I was studying culinary arts. I was helping my grandmother run a motel. Things didn't work out as I had hoped. So I went to Oregon with a friend to just go camping, go backpacking, go hiking, get away. We were out camping in Colorado here, up 10,000 feet, I forget where. I was cooking breakfast and I cut my finger pretty good. I almost cut the tip of my index finger off. I just clamped my finger closed. I walked over to talk to my friend and tell him what happened. He was smoking a cigarette. When he turned around, I passed out. I went treetop. I fell back, hit my head pretty hard. My glasses flew off. The last thing I remember was my breath exiting my body. I came to, I didn't know who I was, where I was. I had a stack of blankets on me. I was cold to my own touch. My friend said I'd stopped breathing for several minutes. When I came to, life was just different. I was told that it was too early to go to the woods. I had to go back to the world and find my purpose, serve a purpose, find my place in the world. I would be allowed to come back to the woods later. It's called retirement. I thought it was nature's nice way of saying, get back to the world.
So, what's life like been since you came back to the world? Do you feel like you've began to find a purpose or follow a path that you were meant to go down?
I've since had probably 6 or 7 near-death and traumatic experiences, brain injuries, severe losses. And I'm just now making another transition on the path closer to peace. Really taking leaps of faith and choosing love and surrender and sacrifice as a mode down that path.
Do you think you're on the path of finding your life purpose?
Yes. Yes. Purpose is to continue sharing peace, continue sharing love, expanding what I know, and sharing peace and love through food. Really caring about making food, helping people with consciously changing their food habits, their lifestyle habits. Teaching yoga, hatha yoga, stretching yoga along the way is a beneficial way to calm the mind and also help learn to understand the true nature of ourself. So yes, I am, after 40 years, finally finding a purpose on this planet.
That's great. Amazing.
Have you thought about how you will know when it's time to retire? Go back to the woods?
My New Year's resolution was to start believing and accepting and approaching life as if I am retired, as if I am there. No more squabbling, no more worrying, no more racing. I'm retired. I have the bank account that I need. I have the friends and family that I need. I have the abundance that I need, and to continue sharing that with others.
That's a good mindset. Would you consider yourself religious? Or if not, maybe how do you define your spiritual beliefs?
I consider myself a human being, humane, and a being. Call it spiritual, call it natural, call it a scientific mystery, call it creation. Human being, just accepting in both parts as an entire whole.
So you've been kind of mixing up scientific things with spiritual things. Do you think those two can kind of coexist, or are they always like kind of battling each other? Like, what's our path forward with those two things?
In the mundane mind of things, they're always going to be conflicting. Science is religion, religion is science. They're inseparable. Religion is kind of like, or spiritualism is kind of like the quest for understanding spiritualism. In science, they're trying to understand the steps and theories of what nature is, or what science is. It's the same application.
Do you see these two things kind of coexisting as we move forward, or will they always be at odds with each other?
I think that the Mayan calendar, I forget when it ended, it was the end of that time of thinking. We're in that new paradigm where now they are coexisting together. And the idea that they're separate causes more confusion and causes more chaos.
I believe the same thing. That's kind of what I was hoping you would say. Um, could you define synchronicity? What does that mean to you?
I guess it would be similar to a déjà vu, already seen. Similar to déjà vu, for me, it's the feeling that you're in alignment with your natural state of being. Everything becomes a mystery. Everything becomes in alignment. Everyone you meet, the conversations, every action, every breath, the feeling that you're in synchronicity with even the species and with nature.
Do you think that it was a synchronicity for you to pick us up and for us to meet you? And like, um,
Impeccable. Couldn't have been any more synchronistic. It's when we get out of synchronicity that we lose our windows of opportunity.
wait, here's a better question. How do you get into synchronicity?
Good question. It's a good question. For me, it's all about taming or at least calming the mind back to that base point, that base reference. If the mind is scattered, they say you have a better chance of taming the winds and the weather than you have of taming your own mind. If your mind is still and calm and you're reflecting more on true nature and you're able to get into your heart, then life just kind of almost becomes more synchronistic. And then if the mind becomes too active and pulls the other direction, then I personally feel less synchronicity.
So, by you coming into our lives, you've definitely done some things for us. You've taught us some things and kind of given us some new perspectives. Have we or this project or anything, has this affected your life or way of thinking at all?
Yes. Stop hiding in my own shadow. Stop pretending that our say is not important. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a say. And I honor your guys' mission in getting out there and getting the voice out there so that we can be heard.
Do you have any specific traumas or um, things from your past that have kind of stuck around and affected you for a long time? Could be bad relationships, bad patterns.
Even the trauma of coming down the birth canal is traumatic enough. They've all kind of stuck with me. And I'm just now finally, the mind really has to let go of all the trauma. In order to heal and really know what peace looks like. You have to forgive and forget all the trespasses all the hardships, all the do's and don'ts, and forgive and give it to nature. It's not ours to hold.
So we spoke a little bit about
That's all I have.
not so much about my exact traumas, but the after effect of them, of what my medicine man believes is that my soul has left my body and it doesn't feel safe in my body anymore, but it's outside my body. And that kind of hit home with you a little bit. What do you think about that? Like the soul. I guess I'm in the process of a soul rejuvenating process of inviting my soul back in, but I have to open my heart and I have to allow my body to release all those traumas and for my soul to feel comfortable to come back. What is your intake on that?
The trauma, the incident, the episodes, they were moments in the past. They've happened. They were painfully stored in the mind. The soul is eternal. It is above and beyond all that suffering. It is your poor mind and heart that is out of the body. Understand that you're protected. Understand that you're safe. It is in your divine nature to accept your love, your beauty, and your wholeness. The power of positive prayer, positive thought, your teachers, your family, your friends, all they're supporting.
So that is all of our questions that we've written down. Is there anything that we haven't asked you, or just anything that you would like the world to hear?
This new year, we're at the pinnacle of evolution as a species, conscious evolution. What does that look like? I've struggled, I've lost, I've struggled, I've lost, I've gained, I've struggled, I've lost. And I've asked for tools, for help. How do we as a species help us get through this transition? What is required of us to get back to our true nature? And it took some time. It started out with just one word at first, so then it built again. But I believe we have the capacity to reach our nature through right action. What is the right action? What steps do we have to take? Right speech. How are we speaking about ourselves? How are we speaking about others? Right care. Right care of this beautiful body. Right care of this beautiful earth. Right care of this beautiful species of each other. Right thought. What are our thoughts? How are we thinking of ourselves? How are we thinking of our neighbors and others? Right creativity. What are we doing with our creative purpose? How are we treating it? How are we treating each other? Proper focus. Where is our focus? Where is our intention? Where are we placing all this energy and all this beauty? And of course, last but most importantly, right purpose. What is our purpose on this planet? Through using the tools, through using right thought, I believe we can truly find peace this time through.
How was that?
You guys rock.
You too.
If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to subscribe, where you'll find a lot of videos that have similar themes.